local, late breaking. This is WBAL TV11 News at 6.
The people demand a law banning the sale of assault weapons. The people demand we prohibit the sale of high-capacity magazines. The people demand universal background checks. Stand for us or beware, the voters are coming.
Right now on 11 News at 6, students all across the country deliver a powerful message to lawmakers. Hundreds of thousands of people all around the world band together for the March for Our Lives rally. They're calling on politicians to enact tougher gun laws. There were more than 800 events planned worldwide. Thousands gathered in places like Washington, D.C., Seattle, and Parkland, Florida. This movement was sparked following the shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School a little more than a month ago, where 17 people were killed. Jay Gray joins us now with more on the national movement.
Today, we march, we fight, we roar.
A roar that echoes across the nation's capital and around the world right now.
Welcome to the revolution.
A revolution led by young men and women demanding change.
And we will continue to fight until we put a stop to gun violence in America.
Survivors of the attack at Marjory Stoneman Douglas, Sandy Hook, Columbine, and others who've lost loved ones to gun violence.
People have said that I am too young to have these thoughts on my own.
The voices of children sharing difficult words of horrible experiences.
Never did I think I would be herded like cattle by a shower of bullets that left me scarred and rattled.
Words of anger.
Nothing has changed.
And sharing a pain that words can't really describe. If you're wondering if this is just a march or a movement, just look around. Hundreds of thousands gathered in Boston, New York, Dallas, Denver, Los Angeles, London, Paris, and Sydney.
Enough is enough.
800 March for Our Lives rallies, including this one in Parkland, Florida.
The bottom line is our voices are being heard. We are making a difference, and the beautiful lives lost have not and will not be in vain.
Their friends
Together we are whole, together we are one.
are going to make sure of that. Jay Gray, NBC News, Washington.
Meanwhile, students from Great Mills High School also visited our nation's capital to participate in the rally. The St. Mary's County High School was the scene of a deadly shooting last Monday. 17-year-old Austin Rollins shot his ex-girlfriend Jalen Willie. Rollins also died, and another student was injured in that incident. Students who spoke with 11 News today say change is needed.
At my school, they like hunting and stuff, so they don't want guns gone exactly, but they definitely don't want to be afraid to go to school. And they're extremely scared, and they just don't want to go through this again. They don't want anyone to go through this. I think change is going to happen with everyone together, and it just makes me really, really happy. It makes my heart warm that so many people are just fighting for this change.
Sadly, Willie passed away from her injuries shortly after her family took her off life support. While the main event for the movement was held in Washington, there were rallies here in Maryland as well. Hundreds of students gathered at the War Memorial today for the Baltimore March for Our Lives. 11 News reporter Karen Campbell joining us live in the studio. Karen, today's local event was organized by a Poly Western High School student.
Yeah, Theo, that's right. Her name is Anna Hilger, and she's one of the students who spearheaded this march, not only to encourage school safety, but to protest gun violence here in Baltimore City. She invited people to City Hall this morning, an area that was filled with teens, parents, city leaders, and many more who were filled with so much passion and a hope for change. We saw people holding signs that read, quote, graduation gowns or body bags, and hashtag never again. Some expressed their outrage, saying students should not be afraid of gun violence in schools. City Councilman Zeke Cohen took the podium to address the crowd, saying city residents have to acknowledge the specific pain being felt here, and that is ending 2017 with more than 340 murders. Now, student activists say change has to come from Congress, and when asked about ways to make schools safer, some students want metal detectors or armed guards. What they don't want is to arm teachers.
I think it would set this stigma and fear for the students in the school, knowing that our teachers could be armed and carrying a weapon and you don't know who. And I just don't think that's an energy we need in the schools.
Our generation has had to struggle against the threat and violence of school shootings for far too long. It's time we say enough.
And Mayor Catherine Pugh organized 60 buses for students to attend the March for Our Lives in Washington, D.C. Also to note, Carmelo Anthony tweeted that he partnered with MTV, the NAACP, and the city of Baltimore to send more than 4,500 kids from Baltimore to D.C. Live in the studio, Karen Campbell, WBAL TV 11 News.
All right, thank you, Karen. Well, Annapolis was among the many places here in Maryland where people gathered as well. 11 News' Megan Pringle has the latest on the rallies there.
Hashtag never again.
Words coming from 16-year-old Mackenzie Bowie, a high school sophomore responsible for organizing the local March for Our Lives in Annapolis.
My generation is the gun violence generation. I've grown up with all these mass shootings, and it's terrible. And honestly, my peers were kind of numb to it because all these shootings are happening, but nothing is happening afterwards to really change it. So these days, we're just practicing our hiding drills and lockdown drills, and that's it. So we really want to be that change.
She hopes this is where the change begins. Armed with hundreds of signs, people gathered on Lawyers Mall with a message.
We're not trying to take away your Second Amendment right. We just want our kids safe, and we want to feel safe.
I'd like to see senators, Congress people, the whole political system just really listen to the students and parents and people that support sensible, gun ownership.
It's coming from all ages.
Our lives matter.
Greg Bain is a middle school teacher who says he feels encouraged by the crowd.
We don't ask the kids any questions anymore. It's all the old folks, like me. Well, clearly we don't have the answers.
The student-led rally is about more than just signs and speeches. They say it's also about getting people to register to vote. That's one of the efforts going on today, and they're also getting as many signatures as possible on a giant banner.
We'll also be signing a banner that I hope to deliver to the Maryland State House calling for change.
Mackenzie Bowie's not sure if that's the next step, but she says she knows there will be one. This is just the start. In Annapolis, Megan Pringle, WBAL TV 11 News.
And it wasn't just in the U.S. The March for Our Lives movement was international. Protesters gathered outside the U.S. Embassy in London, calling for changes in U.S. gun laws. A protester with Amnesty International UK said people in Britain stand in solidarity with students in the U.S., calling for stricter gun laws. Crowds also gathered in Sydney, Australia, to let their voices be heard. To watch all of the rallies from today, head over to our website or use our WBAL TV 11 mobile app. It's available on the App Store and Google Play. In the wake of recent school shootings, active school shooting drills have been taking place at schools all across the country. Coming up, what one Pennsylvania school district has chosen to arm students with in an effort to keep them safe from an intruder. Welcome back. A French police officer who swapped himself out for a hostage during an attack on a grocery store in France has died of his injuries. Colonel Arnaud Beltrame was among the first officers to respond to the attack in the south of France on Friday. His death raises the number of people killed in that attack now to 4. The gunman was also killed and 15 people were injured. The gunman first hijacked a car and opened fire on police, then took hostages inside the grocery store. Meanwhile, investigators searched the London office of the data firm Cambridge Analytica today in an investigation into alleged misuse of personal information by political campaigns and social media companies. More than a dozen investigators were seen searching and then leaving the offices earlier today. Authorities obtained a warrant after a whistleblower said Cambridge Analytica had gathered private information of 50 million Facebook users to support Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. Britain is investigating whether Facebook did enough to protect data. Armed educators has been a national debate in the wake of recent school shootings, but now the most basic of weapons is available to some students in one northeastern Pennsylvania school district. Buckets of rocks are now in every classroom in the Blue Mountain School District. The school superintendent says these go buckets are the last line of defense in a series of protocols the district follows when there is an intruder. The bucket of rocks is secured in a safe place in each classroom. Teachers and students have prepared and practiced with drills, but they have not actually thrown the rocks during those drills. Parents have also been informed about the plans through meetings and open houses. Well, still ahead on 11 News at 6, we're going to show you how you can become a member of the Ravens team this upcoming season, if only you can hit all of the right notes.
And after a chilly weekend, we finally have a warm-up in the 7-day forecast. I'll show you that in just a moment. First, a look outside. Partly cloudy in Baltimore. Temps in the 40s. Stay tuned. Weather's next.
Well, the Baltimore Ravens are calling on the best, not football players, but the best musicians to join the team on Sundays. That's right. This morning, the Ravens held open tryouts for its marching band at Owings Mills High School. Musicians who are selected will play at all Ravens home games this upcoming season. And if you couldn't make it out today, don't worry. The Ravens will host future auditions. If you're interested, just head over to the Ravens website and sign up. So no 70s in the forecast anytime
No 70s, but 60, and that's better than 40.
That's true.
It's all relative,
30,
right? It's better than
25
30,
we've
it's
had.
better than snow.
Jeez.
And it'll warm up by the time we get to opening day, and that's the important part of it here. But still kind of chilly for the rest of the weekend. Today we were in the 40s. Tomorrow, same thing. There couldn't be a brief rain and snow shower on Sunday. Normal high is 57. We'll get closer to that Monday, Tuesday. Then by Thursday, you see a couple raindrops on there for the O's home opener, but I do think they'll get the game in with a high temperature of 62. So not exactly shorts and T-shirts, Pete, but
I will gladly hold you to that.
Better than
Get
snow.
the game in, though.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they'll play.
Be on the horn otherwise.
I know you will.
All right, well, that's it for 11 News at 6. Thanks for joining us. NBC Nightly News is next, and we'll see you back here tonight at 10.